Yo, what
Ah,
is
don't fucking
good,
bite me.
bruh?
Ah!
Ah!
Damn it. That actually scared me.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the second recording of our Epic Gamer Guy meme of review or whatever.
I don't like that name.
I mean,
I'm just
I
gonna
haven't
say
come
it.
up with a fucking name yet, so I don't know what the fuck to call it.
A pup named Scooby Doo.
All right, a
There you
pup
go.
named Scooby Doo review
No,
podcast,
that's not actually good either.
where we just talk about music. But so today we're gonna be reviewing this year's model by Elvis Costello and The Attractions, recommended by our dear friend Elijah Bueno, aka Dipshit here.
Fuck you.
So Elijah, why'd you recommend this album?
Because retarded.
Excuse me. No, so this is the thing, right? Like, what happened was the Spotify algorithm spat out to me my favorite song on the album.
Mm-hmm.
I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea, right? Spat that out to me, and something about the rhythm section of that song right in the beginning with the guitar hook immediately, just that synth hook, the guitar hook, and that rhythm got me, right? So I got sucked into this whole album, and I'll be the first one to admit, especially compared to last week's Don Toliver album, there's actually more misses on this album for me than the Don Toliver album, right?
Okay.
There are songs on this album I outright don't like in the slightest, but there are 3 songs on this album that have like permanently made it into like a rotation.
So this album, when did he come across it?
Maybe about 3 weeks ago,
Oh, 'cause that's
actually.
pretty-
Like
pretty
it's
recent,
like
isn't it?
this is pretty recent. Yeah,
Okay.
this is pretty recent.
Okay, because honestly, yeah, I've been kind of curious because I wouldn't know how to describe this guy's voice, honestly. And
Well, my
yeah.
fiance Julia best described it as fucking annoying.
Dude, it's funny because across the board, I did a little bit of research, and a lot of people say the same thing. Like someone pretty much said how his notes kind of slide a bit too much, and they kind of out of key or of some sort. But again, I think it's kind of interesting how across the board people do feel this way about his voice. It's very hit or miss.
Yeah, no, and see, that's the thing. Like, I've always been a proponent of I'd rather listen to something interesting and compelling than technically good. You know what I mean? Like,
I think I can make the argument how people feel about Bob Dylan. You know, you said it yourself how like he's a great like writer, songwriter, and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
his voice doesn't really
is.
resonate with you. And I think
No, it doesn't resonate with me, but I think his musical ability and the talent that he brings as a writer, like, I'm a firm believer of if Bob Dylan just made bands, he'd be one of the best people in music ever. He probably would have made some of the most iconic albums as a producer rather than as a performer. I think he probably actually would have advanced music further by doing that than his own stuff, because what's he doing now? He releases a 17-minute long song about JFK's assassination. That's not very good.
I haven't got to it, and I'm a pretty big Bob Dylan fan. But
Yeah.
I think going with Bob Dylan or even Elvis Costello. I'm sorry. I think they wound up in a certain spot with their influences, kind of like they were on their shoulders. Kind of Bob Dylan, he grew up with a lot of folk music from like the 30s, 40s, whatever, and it kind of amount to his sound in his era. And I kind of don't know where Elvis Costello. I don't know how he got his sound, honestly.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting, like, because when I really like something, I go in and I go ahead and I like do a little bit of research on like what's going on, right? And so like I looked into him, and like he was a computer programmer, like a 1970s computer programmer, which was like the computers where might as well be prehistoric compared to what we have now, right? And he wrote this whole album while still doing that day job, right? Like he wrote all the lyrics, and his whole even appearance, I don't know if like any of you watched any of the music videos or anything, his whole appearance is supposed to look like a 50s like clerk. Like,
okay, I can see that now. I can see
yeah,
that now.
no,
Honestly,
his whole thing...
Because, like, what, 2020? Honestly, this guy looks like a hipster to me. But
yeah,
the album came out in 1978.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, to me, he ushers in this unique, like, geek rock sound of the 80s. He's the one who introduces it in 1978.
I was actually going to touch up on that, how, like, because this was really in the late 70s, and, like, by the, 81, 82, this kind of, like, sound that kind of resonated with the rest of the decade. And that time kind of continued, so yeah, this guy did kind of, he was kind of like one of the horsemen of the apocalypse, per se.
Yeah. Elvis Costello walked so that Devo could run, right?
Yeah. there's actually a lot of comparisons I can see, like that Devo, and honestly, I got Mean Jeans with some of the faster paced like rhythms going
Yeah,
in.
you know, like, and even something like I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea sounds like it's a blend of like reggae, but what you also hear from the 80s. And like, I actually think, in addition to just his look of a 1950s clerk, some of his songs, especially based on how strange the lyrics can be, are like where the 50s and early 80s actually meet, right?
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorite songs on the entire album is Little Triggers, right?
You know what? I'm gonna
Yeah.
say that was one of my most hated songs on that album. I
Really? That's
hated that
funny,
song.
Elijah. That's my top. That's my one of my top three as well.
Yeah, see,
Oh.
this is weird too, right? Because literally the other day, before me and Alberto, like Albert's like, I probably actually have the closest sense of music taste to you, and we mentioned that me and Evan probably are on completely different wavelengths. But then Alberto's like, I hate Little Triggers,
And then
and
I kind of liked it actually. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
no,
my
see,
top
because
three. Easy.
I think what it really is like Little Triggers sounds like it could be a dance in a movie scene in like a period piece of the 50s while they're dancing, but the lyrics are so weird.
Mhm.
Right? Like all of his lyrics are pretty bizarre.
No. I couldn't make sense
And
of it, so honestly. He kind of just sounded like he was whining or something, dude. Like, ugh.
yeah, no, and then this is the thing. Pump It Up is on this album. Pump It Up is his most played song in his entire catalog. You've probably heard it in commercials. It's like this, like just upbeat song. If I could compare it to last week's album, it's essentially the No Idea of this album.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was
I think,
hearing that one.
yeah, prior to this album, honestly, I've never even heard of it till even if you said it came out in commercials, I don't
Yeah.
listen to it.
The thing is, and this is probably because at my very core, I'm a fucking contrarian, right? Hate Pump It Up. Hate it. Can't stand it.
You know something funny? I actually like Pump It Up on this record.
I actually preferred not. I didn't like it too much either.
Really?
Yeah. But
Wait,
then,
yeah, go ahead.
well, just the song to me that completely slaps is I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea.
Fuck yeah, that's my favorite song on the album.
See?
Easy.
I don't know.
As soon as I heard it, it resonated. I was like, this is the
Honestly,
best song.
yeah,
on the album.
that wasn't a
Easy.
bad song on the track list compared to some of the, as you said yourself, hit or misses. Hey Diego, I don't know if you want to kind
of. Yeah, I think honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I like Pump It Up.
I like the Chelsea.
But I think Chelsea was my favorite song of the album.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all liked I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea.
Yeah, and like to me, that song and this whole thing, my whole thing might be I love I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea so much that to me it makes this album worth my time, right? Like This Year's Girl, like the lead up to this album, I feel like the thing is this is his first album, right? I think he doesn't know how to put an album actually together from the way that you look at it.
There's like no cohesion with the track list.
No.
Kind of just jump from place to place.
Yeah, like you go from Pump It Up, which is like, again, like the No Idea of this album, right? It's the hype song. It's the song everybody's going to play from his catalog probably forever. And then it goes into Little Triggers, and there's no cohesion there, like at all. They're just sharp contrasts. But meanwhile, I really like Little Triggers, right? Honestly, if I'd found out about Little Triggers probably months ago when we were creating our wedding playlist, I would have said, I want this on the wedding playlist.
I would have hated it.
Yeah, I would have hated it. I don't not like that song. That's definitely one of the biggest.
Dale, you hate it too?
Well, I would have hated it if it was on your wedding. I'm like, dude, I cannot. I'm just come out and say there's absolutely no song I can see myself listening to again on this album.
Wow.
I'm kind of with Diego.
Unless Elijah was driving me around and he played it and like in his car.
Yeah. All right.
Some of the songs I like off of it, or I already said Pump It Up, but I think I really like Lipstick Vogue.
I hate Lipstick Vogue.
I
cannot stand Lipstick Vogue.
Really?
I hate it. And I don't think that Radio should be the end of this album. And again, that's one of his most played songs.
It was the weirdest. I mean, not the weirdest. It was like when that was the last song. I finished the album. Like, wait, that's how it ends.
Yeah, right. That's how I felt.
I was even crazy about that one to begin with. And I was like, and I was still disappointed.
Yeah, because I'll also say I really like Hand in Hand, but it is not a good lead up to Chelsea.
I do not like Hand in Hand.
I see. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, this album is just like the harshest divide of like what I like compared to what you guys like on this. And surprisingly, me and Evan are like beat for beat going. Like, you know what? Yeah.
I know going in, you already knew what you were going in with Evan. At least you already kind of thought. what his
Yeah.
opinion of the record was going to be.
You know what I've noticed? Every time I listen to this, I listened to the album 3 times. Every time I listen to it, I always had a boner.
What the?
Do you
That's
think the
one of
song did that?
I honestly think listening to the album gave me a hard on, and I don't even care about the album.
So you say there's like the green M&Ms of records? Like, don't put on your fucking slow, like, solo music. Just
I can't explain it.
See,
all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, to me, this album is like one of those things where, like, again, I'm a contrarian, right? This whole album isn't popular with contemporary music today. Not really. You're never going to hear, like, Elvis Costello pretty much disappeared after the 80s. Like, people never played him again. Even though he ushered in this sound. Like, honestly, when I was, like, listening to Chelsea, I realized how many bands probably heard that sound and said, we can do this and do it better, right? I feel like it's evocative of the Police. I feel like it's evocative of different periods of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I feel like he ushered in this new sound that then proliferated the 80s, and then everybody was like, oh, yeah,
Actually,
and the thing is, he was fucking huge.
Yeah.
He was huge for like 10 years.
The same mindset you're going in with. I think his music or this album was kind of a stepping stone for other bands or other genres to kind of like master this style, I guess. Because really, like his voice is probably most unique into it, but the sound, not his voice, but the sound itself, like the fast drum beats and stuff like that, like I can see that a lot, like nowadays, like I said before, like mean and shit.
Yeah, I think he was even too weird for this period. I think this is just geek rock, which I might end up picking a lot of. But like this is just geek rock at like its infancy.
Because I tried to listen to some of his other singles that they were like okay, like Veronica and Watching the Detectives. I can say that that whole geek rock vibe you said yourself coming out of it.
Yeah, and like. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like people from Devo were like, oh yeah, we love this year's model, or like if anybody's like, yeah, this year's model is like and then this is the thing, like Pump It Up has 22 million plays. That's nothing to slouch at, but it's like almost a tenth less than No Idea from last week, right? Like this just, I feel like what also we're gonna find as like we keep doing this is like these older albums that we may really like just aren't gonna have the plays on things like Spotify compared to things that come out recently, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, you can argue like albums like this could technically have a head start, but since they weren't popular in their heyday, I mean, sometimes they do explode nowadays. But
the thing is, their fan base who discovered these albums when they came out are too old to know how to use fucking Spotify.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. There's probably gotta be.
That's
like
the thing. Like this is a boomer album.
Yeah, there's gotta be an army of Elvis Costello fans, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I'm not like too upset about it. I'm just upset that you like Lipstick Vogue.
Hey, honestly, dude, like some of the drum beats on this fucking album were great, and the bass was pretty sick too.
Oh yeah, no, I can like completely admit to like. To me, again, I think he has that same quality of like he wrote really interesting songs. His voice just didn't work on some of them.
I don't think
his delivery, his voice just didn't work.
Like that little synth line, I will say on Chelsea, I wasn't too crazy about it, but it didn't necessarily grow on me. But I guess I can just like, it's there. Whatever.
Yeah, no, see, to me, Chelsea was just like an earworm. Like it immediately resonated with me, similar like what Evan said. It's just like I could listen to the first 4 seconds of that song probably on repeat alone for like 3 minutes.
You're
like to me that song just slaps. That whole song slaps. That's like right now that's my most played song on repeat, that playlist that Spotify gives you once a month.
God
like
damn, dude.
I only found out about it like again 3 weeks ago, and it made it on there.
Again, I know just being such a divisive album or even sound, especially Costello himself. I mean, I really just don't see his appeal to it. But again, I understand people don't see the appeal like to someone like Bob Dylan,
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, and this is it's just definitely that. I'm just happily surprised that Evan agrees with me on some of these things. Like I was like going into this, I was like, man, Evan's just gonna like fucking hate my favorite things on this album. And Evan's just like, nah, man, I dug it. And then just like Diego's just like, I'm never listening to this again.
The other good song I liked was The Beat. I actually really like that one too.
I like The Beat too. But just like I guess I'm just a contrarian, right? At the end of the day, that's who I am. Um, I think this album is an alright time. I've listened to this album probably like maybe 10 times since we mentioned it last week, right? Like 10 solid times. And then the last 7 times, I was just skipping through purely to listen to the songs that I want. Which was like really interesting to then identify it, because I agree with Diego. I think this album kind of ends in a weak way because I don't like Lipstick Vogue. I like Living in Paradise all right. I actually like how that song opens. I think his lyrics are like creative. And I think this is also why I like Mike Patton from Faith No More. I like creative lyrics more than I like lyrics that make sense. Right?
But I think those don't.
I agree with
They
that.
do kind of go hand in hand. But I mean, again, with Mike Patton's voice, he's honestly got an amazing vocal range.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no,
Costello,
he's
I think Elvis Costello did the best he could with his unique vocal range or unique sound.
yeah. And the thing is, like, he just left his day job to do this, right? And then was like a massive star for like a decade and then like kind of faded away.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, like, that's kind of the dream, right?
Well, yeah, but he continued on his career, and he actually not too recently.
Yeah, but then everything just becomes a passion project, right? Isn't that kind of what we all kind of wish for? Is that like
Yeah,
you could just live your day job,
it's a
have
field
your
where
dream job for a couple years, and then
Right.
everything's a passion project?
Right. Yeah, I mean, the album. I will say, I didn't necessarily hate the album. I can respect its place in history for like music, but I definitely wouldn't go back to this. I see myself listening to something else a little further on down the line.
I mean, and that's completely fair because, like, you know what? For the next like month, Chelsea is probably going to be one of those songs that I just play all the time. Like, even though Little Triggers, again, growing on me, like every time I listen to it, I like it. I feel like it's that weird, like it has that 50s, like I can just imagine it. You know that scene in Back to the Future where it's the dance and they're like playing Earth
Yeah.
Angel? I can imagine Little Triggers playing instead of Earth
yeah,
Angel.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of these songs winded up on a soundtrack for a movie back in the day.
Or Pump It Up probably would be the one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. But again, I just kind of feel this style was kind of picked up by people who improved on it. Gotta just keep
What was your least favorite song on the album, Alberto?
Little Triggers, garbage.
Little Triggers, really?
Yeah, I hated
Wow.
it. I just hate the style, like the way he kind of like sounded like he was just fucking begging into the mic. But I get why people
Begging into the mic.
And honestly, like I don't know why. It's probably not an exact comparison, but this guy's like, for me, he's like Bruce Springsteen if he had no testosterone. Because you know what I'm saying? Like he can carry his voice, I get it, but like it's like in terms of like someone as strong as Bruce Springsteen, like it's much stronger.
Well, I mean, like, now you're just saying that geeks aren't masculine.
No, like not necessarily in that. Again, it just like, I'm very not much of a fan of his vocal range or his sound.
Yeah, what was your least favorite song?
Honestly, I would say they're all on par with each other except for the ones I actually like.
So, like, for you, this is like a couple of songs that you're like, that was all right, and the rest was trash.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not.
Well, I do not hate any song, but no song actually I wouldn't listen to it.
I think I'd call them forgettable.
All right, Evan, which song did you hate?
There's only one song I actually super hated. It was just Night Rally. That's the only one I didn't like.
You know what? I also really don't like Night Rally. I don't like Night Rally. But like the song I absolutely hate is Lipstick Vogue. I fucking
like good music?
hate it. Alberto, it has the lowest rating on the Spotify analytics.
Well, I guess you can call me a contrarian then, baby.
Yeah, you like that. But this is the thing. To me, I think the most musicianship on this album, again, I'm just going to beat a dead horse, is Chelsea. I think like that song is just like really creative and almost doesn't fit on this whole album.
I agree with that, yeah.
It feels like it doesn't belong in this album. It feels like it's the single that they wrote, and then he wrote the rest of the album, and they stuck the single on. But that's not what happened, because Pump It Up is the single.
No, bro. Lipstick Vogue was a sleeper hit, bro. way I see
The
it.
sleeper hit of 2020 from an album that came out in 1978.
And I think,
Everybody
I guess going back, because you know how we're gonna kind of talk about album covers. It's like whatever, dude. This dude literally just looked like a fucking hipster on this cover.
Looks like a hipster. No, Alberto. I think what you don't realize is hipsters look like Elvis Costello.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Because that's the
doesn't
thing.
make me
It's like,
like it anymore, mate.
yeah, well, that makes you a hipster, right? Because you hate hipsters.
Yep, and I like lipstick Vogue.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you like the things people don't like, and you say they're sleeper hits. Just wait, and then when people agree with you, you're gonna be like, "Nah, you guys are fucking lame."
Yeah, they're fucking dorks, CBH. But with
Yeah.
that, I guess we can go into like our little rating. Since you picked it, Elijah, what do you think?
Honestly, like if I'm being completely honest, I'm gonna give it like actually the same rating I gave Don Toliver. It's like a 7 out of 10 to me. Like, I think the fact that there's one song on here that I think slaps and I'll play over and over again for probably a year, forget about it, and then in 3 years hear it again and go like, why did I forget about this song? To me that still makes the whole album a 7 out of 10.
I think the songs for
Right.
me, honestly, don't carry it enough for me to like it anymore. I actually did prefer, and I had a more enjoyable time listening to Don Toliver than this album. But I do respect and I do admire that this exists, because it kind of it was a sign for the better things to come, in my opinion. Honestly, I'm just gonna give it a 5. It's like whatever. I didn't know this from the sound of it. This probably inspired a lot of good styles and shit, but the singles, all that crap, I wasn't crazy about it. So, Evan
Diego.
or Diego?
Honestly, so I just about like, every single time Elijah recommended anything to me, I enjoed it.
And then this was the first
This is
time.
probably the
you were like-
absolute first time where I'm just like, I do not see what's the big. I don't see why Elijah's enjoying this one so much. And so, for me, I don't hate anything about the album, but I just can't see myself here listening again. So, a light 4.
Damn.
Elijah's cough?
Good.
A light to decent 7.
All
Good
right.
symmetry.
What do you rate Chelsea?
If it was just Chelsea by itself,
Yeah,
6.
I can't agree with you, but
I
okay.
mean, if it was a lipstick, would I give it a 9, bro?
I don't like your
I don't like the
memes.
song
I
that
don't
much,
even
so-
think that that's true. Yeah, I don't think that that's true.
But I'll bros do Facebook picture 10.
Oh yeah, yeah. That
Right.
his secret gay porn Facebook profile, 10 out of 10.
don't look that
That
up,
was pretty
bro.
spicy.
Don't
If
look that
we-
up.
if we were- If this podcast were to like take off and then we got a Facebook group, I would just post that Facebook profile over and over again into the group.
That's,
Just like, hey,
that's probably-
you guys
honestly,
remember to
that's
follow up.
unashamed me, bro. That guy's probably like this pure Roberto in many ways.
Honestly, he's so confident that he has a gay porn
Right.
Facebook
It's
page.
more
He's
Chad than anything.
yeah, he's just a gay Chad.
Yeah, you can still be Chad and be gay, you know.
Yeah.
So Evan, what are you gonna give this year's model?
Let me see. So, obviously, I listened to the whole thing. If it felt like I was listening to one song for the most part. Some like the Chelsea track did throw that off for me, which was refreshing. There was nothing I really disliked about it. Just that one track that I was like kind of like wanting like to end when I was hearing it, and I only got that vibe from one song, so I think that's actually pretty positive. I only have about 3 like favorite songs that would resonate with me. Chelsea being obviously the best. So I was actually thinking about giving it a low 7,
Wow.
but I have to really think because like Diego made a good point. Like, am I gonna listen to any of this,
Ever
on my
again.
own time? Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's a huge thing about music. So I think I think maybe like a high 6. High 6 should be good.
Like a 6.75.
Nearly like,
No, like
like
maybe like a 6.8, like 8.7.
like it's closer to a 7
like
than it
like
is
a C
a
plus.
5.
Yeah, I'll
C-
give it a C plus.
a
But
D
when I was going
plus.
with later grades now. There you go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no. Yeah.
Yeah, no, a high. Yeah, Evan's giving it a D plus. I'm only giving it a C. So
No, yeah, because
I like-
a 5 is like it's just an album, It's not bad, it's not so good. A 6 is like a C in this rating for me.
Yeah.
So
And I
good.
mean, only the mediocre are at their best every day.
Yeah, and a 7's good. Like 7's like that's a
Mhm.
good album. 7. So 6 is like it was good. It was all right. It had its times to shine.
All right. Well, I'll just say, really pleasantly surprised that Evan's closer to me. Really, actually
Yeah.
upset that Alberto a couple days ago tells me, you know what? I think we actually have very similar taste in music, and I think this episode kind of like
Well,
shot that theory in the
I
foot.
think we really gotta start questioning our friendship then at this point, you know?
Yeah, you know. And then like, and I'm also kind of hurt that Diego's like, every single thing you ever recommended me, great. Never listening to this again. Never.
If I ever listen, it's because you're driving me somewhere.
Yeah, because also, like, just for, like, anybody who eventually listens to this, if ever, like, I've recommended Diego really weird stuff, and, like, Diego's, like, loved it, and so now I don't, I don't understand, because to me, this is, like, one of the most palatable things in the last year I've recommended, and Diego's, like, never listening to it again.
Well, this was definitely a surprise, you know? So, and with that, I guess it's between me and Diego now, and I got a little random name generator to kind of pick things for us. You think you got an album ready for us, Diego? If you get picked?
Yeah. So what I did is I just went and put, since I didn't have anything in mind, because I usually just listen to whatever you just show me, anyways. I just put random album generator online.
Wait,
so whatever. So I had zero experience.
That's pretty. All right, hopefully,
you know what? I like this spicy meme. This is a spicy meme. I like it.
I chose this because I like the cover of the album.
All right, you know what? I'm still gonna click on it. Hopefully, it's you, not me. But it doesn't matter. You know, it picked me, but we're picking you because I think that's kind of epic. So, what the fuck you got for us?
Bruh.
Yeah.
So the album is called A Tribe Called Quest by Midnight Marauders. By Midnight Marauders, yeah. So
Tribe Called Quest.
The
album's called Midnight Marauders. Okay. All right. So yeah, a week from now, I guess we'll kind of go back.
Let me see if I can link that.
I like this meme. Yeah, it's spicy.
I agree with it.
It's a spicy meme.
Random XD.
Yeah.
Card right here.
Not even recommending us anything that like you've like experienced recently. Just like I'm gonna go full ape shit on this.
So,
man, this album's from like 27 years ago now.
I'm familiar with Tribe Called Quest.
I know that they made
like
they made great pushes in the hip hop movement of the 90s.
Yeah.
They were when like hip hop was still like street poetry. So like.
So there you go. I think I like the album.
Honestly, I'm actually kind of hyped for this. As long as it's not, like Elvis.
I kind of think I should redo my rating because the album gave me a boner. I might give it a 5.
All right,
there you have it.
Think about it because it did make me feel something.
We'll make an exception this time. You can change your rating towards the end of the review.
I'll just think about it right now because I was just thinking if I was justified with my 4.
No. If you had a hard on 3 consistent times,
it's all you better up it by 1 point.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Which gives us an average score of about 6.
So my dick says 10, but my mind says 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Alberto, what'd you give it again?
I give it a 5. Straight down the middle.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't hate it. Don't love it. Respect what it did, but other than that, it's whatever.
It's cool.
I'm looking forward to this track list so far.
Yeah,
I'm looking
at it.
I really hope I like the
it's
song
not too
"Suck
long,
a Nigga."
Honestly. Yeah, "Suck a Nigga." 8 million stories. We can get
Suck
Bico stirred up.
Hey, we're Mexican. We can say things.
Yeah, we got a card.
We got our N-word passes.
Mm-hmm. All right, so yeah, next week we'll listen to the Tribe Called Quest.
Another shout out to Chobani Flips again until they sponsor us.
You got
this week, Elijah?
Yeah, Rusty Nail. Super simple. Go ahead, get yourself some Drambuie. 3/4 of an ounce of that. Get yourself a nice scotch. My preference. A lot of people give a lot of hate to Johnny Walker Red, but I think it actually works well here. 1.5 ounces of Johnny Walker Red. It's not going to hurt your budget. Honestly, the Drambuie is probably going to be more than the scotch. So.
And it's kind of hard to get, so don't go out of your way. Stay safe. Stay
4
home.
stars. Just drink G Fuel instead.
No. I want everyone listening to go out in full asbestos clothing and just wear safety goggles and masks and act like you're on the surface of the moon to go get
Elijah, can I send you some G Fuel and you can make a cocktail out of it?
Yeah,
please.
Yeah.
Dude,
if you send me some G Fuel,
I'm gonna spend
at least an hour trying to make a G Fuel cocktail.
All right, because I'm thinking about sending you a spicy Demonade Doom G Fuel.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll play around with that. I'll
Shout
play
out
around
to G
with that.
Fuel. Thanks for the sponsorship.
Shout out to G Fuel. Unironically love Mountain Dew G Fuel. Everybody should drink the Berry Blast at least once.
Okay. You're telling me now you get more shitty recommendations?
Berry Blast is awesome.
Whatever. All right, guys. So take it easy.